90% of what you do in life is actually a pattern and it's actually a habit. It's not something you're thinking about. And if it was created, it can be also dismantled and a new pattern can be created in place as long as it's not your core value.
Hi, Dominika. How are you?
I'm fantastic, Yavira. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for your time on this Saturday.
It is absolutely my pleasure. It is a beautiful Saturday here where I am.
Yeah, it's nice here too. It has been really hot the past couple of days, but it's gotten so much better here in Chicagoland. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a brain health coach and I'm an elite neuroencoding specialist. And I've worked with and I've been trained by Dr. Amen, who's absolutely a phenomenal neuropsychiatrist, who believes that medicine and pills are your last resort. It doesn't mean you shouldn't take it, but you should try absolutely everything before you go there, as long as it's safe for you. So that's the first thing. And neuropsychology is absolutely amazing because it helps to use science to get us to a place where we want to be further and faster and quicker without years of therapy. Most therapies can be shortened down to half a year to a year. So if you're in therapy for about, 5, 6 years, I would change a therapist. Not that they're bad, it's just most likely their approach is not working for you. But with that being said, I am absolutely in love with what I do, and I'm a brain coach.
Great. So, what do you mean by a brain coach?
So what happens is that I take into account your psychology, but on the base of neuropsychology. And we take into account your spirituality, your environment, and your brain as an organ. So what we do, we look at your brain through assessments, not a lot of them, but enough for us to know which parts of your brain are malfunctioning or are not functioning to the optimum. We also look at your blood work because if you're not producing neurotransmitters in your gut, I will have a very difficult time, or almost it will be impossible to rewire your brain. It's kind of like trying to build a house without bricks. If you don't have bricks, you can't build a house. Or if you don't have wood, you can't build a house just because you want to, right? So we look at some of your blood work and we make sure you're producing and your optimum in some areas. So you do produce in your gut neurotransmitters that then travel to your brain and can be used as new building blocks for your new behaviors, new thoughts, new reactions, because 90% of what you do in life is actually a pattern and it's actually a habit. It's not something you're thinking about. And if it was created, it can be also dismantled and a new pattern can be created in place as long as it's not your core value. If it's your core value and belief, then we need to work a little bit more with beliefs and what events created those beliefs, what created those neural pathways in your brain that allowed you to just react like this. Your belief, let's say, a lot of women say all men are awful, especially when they're getting divorced. Well, is that true? No. There are some amazing men in this world. The men that she's thinking and generalizing it are, let's say, those men that did hurt her or something happened. So she generalizes it to everybody, and then a neural pathway is created. So anytime she sees a man, she has a negative feeling because every time you think, your brain releases hormones and little information into your body. That's how you get your feelings. So it's a very fascinating scientific thing, and it's done in a simple way so you can get where you want to go further and faster, and you can just live the best life you choose to live without regrets, without feeling down, without feeling terrified, angry, hurt, with no anxiety, with no PTSD. A lot of anxiety can be treated with absolutely no medication. Same with depression. Not all of it, but a lot of it is a feeling of being depressed, not being depressed. And it's not simple, yet most of the cases that we have and we encounter in real life are cases that can be solved within 6 months without medication. I don't know if you know, but when they did a study that was a year and a half ago, and they took out fish from the coast of Florida and they tested them for chemicals, it turned out that all Floridian fish are high on antidepressants. That's how much as a society we take medication, that it's now in the ocean water. and fish that you eat from the ocean and from Florida are high on antidepressants. That's bad. That's really bad.
I
That means
I do want to say that because my audience is physicians. If you are struggling and you need medication, you should absolutely take it.
absolutely, yes.
But yes, there are everyday depressing thoughts that can be managed by mind management. But yes, if you need medication, I'm a scientist as well, I'm a physician. I would ask you to follow up with your psychiatrist.
Absolutely. Do not take yourself off. When we take people off and I work with a psychiatrist, we work together in tandem. It's not, I would never advise anybody stop taking medication or go on medication. That is the medical world. Well, the idea from Dr. Amen that we follow is that we try absolutely everything before going on medication. I'm epileptic. There's nothing I can do about my brain health that would stop me from being epileptic. But what I could do, and I did, I was able to work with my brain and with the knowledge I have and with supplements that are natural that reduce, and with my sleep and with my stress levels, everything that influences having grand mal seizures. And from 2,000 units a day, I'm on 500 units a day. And that's a success. That's awesome. I was for 30 years on antidepressants. I don't need them anymore. I am on supplements like saffron, GABA, and a few other things that are good for my brain. So no, do not take yourself off medication, not to say today, everything has its place. And if you need medication, you need medication. Is it possible to take you off it? Yes, but you will decide that with your physician. Absolutely.
How did you end up becoming a brain coach? What's your
Well,
journey?
my journey is long and steady. I used to be a career coach and I used to work with six-figure income earners, and I was extremely miserable as a human. Plus being epileptic and being considered a drug addict, and everybody assumed that I'm for sure taking drugs because most people see seizures, grand mal seizures in a context of overdoses. Most people do not realize that they exist without even touching a drug. So I lived in a high stress and very high functioning environment, resulting in me being depressed, unhappy, and being epileptic on top of that. And I was coaching people right and left, and those six-figure income earners, and they were then getting another six-figure job. And one day I just woke up, I'm like, this can't be it. Like, this is I want the world to be a better place. And if the same situations keep repeating to me, maybe it's not the world, maybe it's me. And that was the first aha moment. So I said, okay, well, first of all, I don't love my job. I'm happy that they're getting, another six-figure job, but I want the world to be a better place. And that is not it. So I started working on me. And for 12 years, I tried everything under the sun. And I was looking for something else that I could do in life. I was an HR manager for many years. Recruiter, and I did analytics on labor law, influence on economy, all those fun stuff. Not so much, but it was something very, very rewarding. I could predict the future, so notice the patterns. I graduated with sociology degree. I was a professor at university. I did all those awesome things, and then it was just not it. So I worked on me. I became a much happier person, much more grounded human, who actually started to see more beauty in the world than the negative. And it's a choice. And I started to feed off of that. And I said, okay, I'm ready. So I started to look for programs that would allow me to give back to the world. And I run into Dr. Amen, who is a neuropsychiatrist, double board certified, and Dr. Joseph McClendon III, who is a neuropsychologist, who put together a program, and it was called Brain Revolution. And it is coaching through the knowledge of basic neuroscience and the patterns, and basic knowledge of the brain, which parts of the brain are responsible for what behavior, using simple assessments from Dr. Amen, not diagnosing, but looking at what it is and helping you rewire your brain and kind of go further faster. Very often I work alongside with psychiatrists, because you see your psychiatrist, once every 2 months. you see me every week, we can rewire your behaviors, change your behaviors, will then help the psychiatrist later on work with your medication, reduce it or keep it the same, but you will see quicker progress than just, here is a pill and just go home. Because when you get off the pill, you still don't have the skills. So it is so
Yes.
important that you, while you're on medication, let's say, you need to learn the new skills. So when it's time to get off of it, you will not revert back to your old behaviors.
Yeah. So what happens to brain health in life transitions?
Well, stress, as we know, and that's a myth, and I'm sure you're going to confirm that cortisol is not bad. Permanent release of cortisol is not helpful. So in life transitions, people tend to live in the future, not in the present moment. And fear creates flight or flight response, influences the limbic system, which is your emotional responses, and you stop seeing clearly. Very often, your anterior cingulate, which is part of your brain, kind of stops shifting. Stress stops oxygenation to the brain, not fully, but kind of inhibits that. We stop eating right, so we don't have enough of neurotransmitters in our gut being produced. All of those things are not happening because we choose to. These are just natural reactions. And if we're not aware of them, we're unable to stop them. And life transitions have a tendency to be extremely stressful. They just are. That's part of life transition. I just transitioned from being a single mother of two girls that I took care of. They're now 23. They moved out of the house. I had no clue what to do with myself. I had to reinvent myself because who am I without those two girls? That was my identity. I had to recreate that identity and find other meaningful purpose outside of taking care of my girls on a daily basis, because I still take care of them. However, it's not on daily basis as needed, right? Because they're all grown up and they're learning life on their own, and I'm their safety net, yet I'm not in the life on daily basis. So those situations leave us kind of feeling like we're walking on ice and everything is shaking. And stability and certainty in parts of our life is absolutely necessary, so we have a place to kind of push back from and jump and spring to the next level. So our brain literally is part of creation, and our life experiences and our fear live in our brain. And those are expressions of, let's say, our brain being hardwired into being afraid and looking for problems, because that is our primal brain. We don't have those problems, right? We used to be eaten by animals, things would attack us. We don't have that danger on a daily basis unless you live in Houston and people run around and shoot each other, or somewhere else like in Chicago. There are some areas I'm sure your primal brain would be absolutely thriving because people running around with guns and street drive-bys and whatever else. So our brain basically goes to the behavior that has been programmed to do. And in today's society, it's not serving us. So it's time then to take a deep breath, smile, relax, and start rewiring your brain, allowing it to calm down and allowing it not to overwork itself. There are beautiful, if you ever search SPEC scans for gratitude and meditation and being in overdrive, and it shows how the ring of fire on your brain is literally, your brain is lit up like a Christmas tree when you're stressed and in fear. And then just the frontal part, the prefrontal cortex, is lit up when you're in meditation and in gratitude. And it just calms down your nervous system. And that allows you to think clearly. When people say sleep on it, we were just talking before we went on air, the sleep on it is a phenomenal thing. This is when your brain actually cleans out all the unimportant information and uses creativity. So the part of your brain where you have all the experiences that you wouldn't think of consciously come into play. That's why very often you wake up in the morning and you come up with an idea or you know what to do. It is because when you stop consciously thinking, your brain is still using your neuroconnections and your thoughts and different areas of your brain to pull information to create the best solution. So even if you don't think you're thinking about something, you are.
Yeah. So, in the end, is there something that I forgot to ask that you would like to touch on? I know we can go on and talk about this topic all day.
So I think the best takeaway is that remember your brain, who is a CEO of your life, this organ decides on who you are, what you do, how you react, how you behave, how you think. It has been programmed in a certain way without you choosing so because of the environment you're in. What if you could use the same ability and the neuroplasticity that does not end when you're adult? It keeps going till you die. Maybe not as much, but you're still the neuroplasticity stays. What if you could use that and to recreate yourself consciously? If you could stop and say, hey, what if I would do this? What if you could gain new experiences that would allow you to live a better, happier life? You get to choose that because your brain is an organ and organs can be treated like the heart, your leg. You know that if you want to exercise and you're going to gain muscle, your brain will do the same if you will consciously choose to have a better life. And if you're in life transition, this is exactly the time where you could stop and think, what life do I want to create during this transition? So when I get out of it, it actually is the way I want to, because even hell has a border. So if you're in hell, just keep walking.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Where can people reach you or find you?
Absolutely. I can be found Your Brain Coach D, like a letter D. And you can find that on Instagram. You can find the same thing on Facebook. And my website is also Your Brain Coach D. And I truly invite you to just take care of yourself and put yourself first and design your life and treat your brain as an organ. There's nothing wrong with you. And you are an amazing human being. Now let's find what can we optimize to make your life even better.
Thank you, Dominika. It was so nice talking to you. Let's touch base some other time.
Absolutely. It will be my pleasure.